I have been dating a girl for about a year and 3 months now. When we first got together, she warned me that her parents, mainly her father, are a bit crazy. Boy, was she right. When we first got together, everything was good, no issues with them, and I heard good things back from her that her parents liked me. Her dad is a very straight and narrow type of guy. His way or the highway. He has a lot of control over her. She has a curfew and is not allowed to stay over whatsoever. Don't even think about it, which I can somewhat respect considering she still lives at home, etc. She's not allowed to attend any of the weekend trips that my family and I go on, even though her parents are invited to them as well. There was one instance where he did say yes that she could go on one camping trip with my family and me. What a mess. We were lying in bed at night about to go to sleep. We have very limited service where we are, so text messages and phone calls kind of come when they want to. She gets a text message from her mother saying to call her as soon as possible, etc. We rush out to the road to try and gain some better cell service for a phone call. She reaches her mother, and her mother tells her that she is here to pick her up. We passed by her on the way out, but didn't realize that it was her. We meet up with her mother, and she says that her father sent her up here to get her. We are about 5 hours from home. So here we are, thinking something terrible has happened for her to drive 5 hours to come get her, only to find out that he just wants her home and regrets letting her go. We stood there and talked for roughly 2 hours, and her mother insulted me multiple times for reasons as trivial as the genre of music I like. Let me remind you, her parents were invited on this trip but chose to stay home. They both ended up staying with me and my family for the night. Her mother woke up and left before the sun rose due to fear of embarrassment. She goes home later that weekend to find that her mother is in trouble with her father because she went up there and tried to get my girlfriend to come home, which would then go against his word that she could go. Then my girlfriend was also in trouble for not listening to her mother. Her mother has always been nice to me, making me coffees and sending me home with leftovers, etc. Her father has always been nice to me as well, even though he always has something to say behind my back to my girlfriend for something as small as the vehicle I drive, not being a high-quality, long-lasting Toyota. Just recently, for Family Day, I invited her family up to my father's house to go ATVing, something I have done on a few occasions, but they have never taken me up on my offer. This time they did. The morning of when they were supposed to come, her dad says he isn't feeling well, which is fine, no pressure. He ends up saying he's going to pass, but that her mom can still go, and he will load the ATVs for her, and she and my girlfriend can go together. So the ATVs are loaded, trucks packed, they're ready to leave. At the last minute, he says to her that this isn't a good idea because she's never towed this specific trailer with this truck. She's been driving big trucks and trailers for over 30 years. They owned a landscaping company together. She ends up starting to second guess herself and ends up bailing too, but she still decides to come up, and she will just ride one of our machines. The day goes by, we have an amazing day, and she goes home to find him in a fit of rage that she went without him, and all this other stuff from past experiences with her. Nothing bad. She's a very good wife and mother. He's just out to lunch. He ends up kicking her mother out for this, and she goes and stays at a friend's house. A few days go by and she comes back, and they talk. My girlfriend overhears them talking about me, mainly him yelling at her, and she's just listening. He tells her that she emotionally cheats on him with me because of how nice and helpful she is with me. The coffees, leftovers, etc. Turns out he doesn't like that she's nice to me because I haven't put in the work. Not sure what that means. He can't even explain it himself. I have helped them around their house many, many times, from yard cleanup to cooking dinner and breakfast. This is getting to the point where he's mentally harassing all of us, and he's playing mental gymnastics to get them to listen to him and go by what he says. No one is allowed an opinion or a choice. He just recently said I'm not allowed at their place anymore, which is extremely hard on my girlfriend to do all of the driving. We live about an hour apart. In the past, he's complained that I don't come down enough. Now I'm not allowed at all for next to no reason other than his wife is nice to me. They stopped sleeping in the same bed, and he got mad at her for sleeping in the bed that I usually sleep in when I stay over there, saying that she's only sleeping in that bed because I did. He got so mad that he punched a hole in the door while she was trying to sleep. When they both listen to him and abide by his crazy rules, the house runs smoothly. When they don't, it's like the sky is falling. There have been many instances like the ones I just explained over the years that my girlfriend has explained to me. Her mother has been kicked out over a dozen times for stuff as small as this. She's a battered woman. Everyone she talks to is telling her to leave. Me, my family, her boss, her family, and even the women's shelter she called told her to leave. She won't, so I have given up trying with her. Almost forgot. She recently booked a trip for her and my girlfriend to go to England to see her mother. Her dad has a big fear of airplanes, so he does not fly. Over the whole family day situation, he made her cancel the trip to England, saying how if she didn't, then she didn't love him. I should also mention that my girlfriend's maternal grandmother is currently being treated for cancer, and she hasn't seen her in over 10 years. She does end up canceling the trip, and my girlfriend is devastated over it. Rightfully so. Anyways, there's lots more to this. This is just a drop in the bucket, but that's the main juicy stuff. Things are okay between her and me, but she always seems to get sucked into his crazy narcissistic ways, saying she's a terrible daughter and that her mother is an idiot for letting her date me, etc. I recently offered to let her move in with me to escape this, but she seems hesitant to leave them. I'm not going to twist her arm that if she doesn't leave to stay with me, then I'm going to break up with her. But I frankly want absolutely nothing to do with her family anymore, and that's not healthy for her or me, I don't think. I feel bad leaving her over her family stuff, but I have to deal with these people for the rest of my life, and I just know I won't be able to do it. I feel lost and confused about how to deal with this. I don't see us lasting much longer if she stays with her family because I will not deal with their trivial issues with me and her dating. Mainly her father, and her mother is just a spitting image of him due to reasons I have stated above. A lot of their marital issues are blamed on my girlfriend because her father is not approachable on anything, so her mother does it for her, and that causes issues. Now, for a few comments before the update, I'm sorry, but this bothered me. Allowed has to do with sound. You're looking for the word allowed. An easy mistake to make, though. Good luck with your girlfriend. Now, for the update. It's been about a month since the camping trip, and things have only gotten worse. I thought things with Olivia's family were a lot of drama before, but now it's just like episode after episode of some reality show that I don't want to be watching. Olivia's dad has become super aggressive towards her mom. Like every little thing that goes wrong in their lives is her fault. I don't know if he was always like this, or if the camping trip just pushed him over the edge. Either way, it's not good. The family dynamic has just shifted so much. Olivia's dad now demands to be in the loop about every little decision made in the house. I mean, I'm sure he always thought he was the boss or whatever, but now he's acting like he thinks he's the president or something. Olivia told me that he even went through her phone without permission. Like, excuse me, what? That's a whole other level of controlling. One night, during a family dinner, things just exploded. Olivia mentioned wanting to go to a concert with me, and her dad just lost it. He started going off about how she was being selfish and only thinking about herself. Olivia's mom tried to calm him down, but ended up getting yelled at for not controlling Olivia. Like, what does that even mean? How is it her mom's fault that he's being a jerk? After that dinner, Olivia and I decided to take a break from seeing each other to avoid more family drama. We talked about it, and it just seemed like the best idea. But of course, life had other plans. I drove to her house one day to check on her, and I got there just as her dad was leaving for a work trip. Thank goodness I didn't run into him. Olivia let me in, and we had to talk quietly in her room while her mom was in the kitchen. It was nice to see her, but the whole vibe was just off. We were both trying to be happy to see each other, but knowing that her dad could blow up at any moment just sucked the happiness right out of the room. A few days later, Olivia sent me a message saying her dad found out that I visited and he went ballistic. Like, seriously? He stormed into her room, demanding to know why I was there. Olivia stood up to him, saying she was old enough to make her own decisions, and even though I'm glad she did that, I was kind of nervous for her. You know how these controlling types are. They don't like to be told no. Her dad then threatened to cut her off completely if she didn't comply with his rules. That was a big red flag for both of us. The next weekend, we planned to go to a family birthday party for her younger brother. I arrived early to help set up, and guess what? Olivia's dad was already in a bad mood, snapping at everyone. I was on high alert, waiting for him to recognize me and lose his mind. During the party, he made several passive-aggressive comments about Olivia spending time with me. At one point, he even loudly announced that no one should take her side against him. The guy is such a jerk. But here's the thing. Olivia confronted her dad in front of everyone, and I couldn't believe it. She said she was tired of his control. The atmosphere turned so uncomfortable, and several guests looked like they wanted to just disappear. Her dad yelled back, saying she would ruin the family if she continued this way. His words were just so dramatic. It was like he thought he was in a play or something. Olivia's mom tried to calm things down, but ended up getting caught in the crossfire. It was just a mess. After the party, I suggested that we plan a weekend getaway to clear our heads. Just the two of us, without any family drama. As we discussed this, Olivia revealed that her dad had been secretly monitoring her finances. She found out he had access to her bank account and was tracking her spending. The guy has no boundaries. That night, we came up with a plan to confront him about his overreach. We decided to record our conversation, hoping to catch him in his manipulative tactics. The following week, we sat down with her dad, and things escalated so quickly. He denied everything and accused us of being overly dramatic. Olivia played the recording, and his face turned pale as he heard his own words. He tried to dismiss it, but Olivia stood firm and demanded respect. The confrontation ended with him storming out, but of course, he retaliated. He cut Olivia off financially and refused to pay for her college tuition. He must have thought that would scare her into submission, but it kinda just made her more determined. She applied for several scholarships and part-time jobs, refusing to back down. I helped her with the applications, and she got an interview for a job at a local cafe. Just watching her go through this whole thing, it was inspiring. After weeks of hard work and determination, Olivia received a scholarship that covered her tuition. She was so happy, and I was just proud of her. She's been through so much, and she's just trying to live her life and make her own decisions. I know we have our own challenges to face, but I believe we can get through this together. To answer a few questions, Olivia's dad's behavior has always been controlling, but the camping trip intensified it. He went through her phone, demanded to know her whereabouts, and became aggressive towards her mother. Olivia stood up to him, which led to threats of financial disconnection. They discovered he was monitoring her bank account. The recording of their confrontation exposed his manipulation, resulting in him cutting her off financially. Olivia then earned a scholarship, reflecting her determination and resilience. Am I the idiot for telling my cheating wife I'm filing for divorce in front of our kids? I, a 39-year-old man, have been with my wife, a 35-year-old woman, for 8 years, married for 7. I feel utterly defeated at this point, and I'm using this platform to simply let out my frustrations and ask for advice. When we met, she had a child from a previous relationship. We've since had 2 more and adopted a 4th. Our relationship has never been our relationship. It's always been built on the needs of our children. The only significant amount of time we've spent alone together has been a 10-day trip 5 years ago. Please don't misunderstand me. I love our children and would do absolutely anything for them, but I've always felt like a second wheel, and I realize that this is part of being a parent. This is all just to add context. The real issue lies in the fact that she literally never takes accountability for what she says and does. I've heard on multiple occasions, "I'm not going to apologize for that. I have nothing to apologize for," after she verbally berated me. After she struck our son out of a disagreement between the two of them and still refused to apologized to him about it, and B, refused to go to family counseling, I knew I was done. I admit fault in the relationship too. I work very long hours and often don't do as much around the house as she'd like. Do I cook? Yes. Do I help the kids with their homework? Yes. Do I make sure the older kids get their chores done? Most of the time. Could I do better at laundry and general tidying up? Yes. Do I go to school meetings and our children's special events? Yes! But I've spent so much time, to be honest, just trying to be seen and feel appreciated for everything I do around the house that it's getting exhausting. She just finished her associate's degree in a highly demanding field, which I'm incredibly proud of her for. I was the only one working during that time. She only recently went back to work. Before going back to school, I found evidence of infidelity on her part and was heartbroken, but I still believed in the marriage, so I offered reconciliation terms, none of which have been followed by her. Why am I planning to divorce her, and why am I waiting? First, I need to make sure my finances are in order so I can set up another living situation for the joint custody I'm going to file for. I'm using the next several months to really make sure the decision is what I want and need, and to start marking instances of the following. I want to make sure that what I'm experiencing is actually accurate. Constant narcissism, gaslighting, her pretending to be the victim in every argument, and how I don't do enough around the house, etc. Maybe we need some time away from the kids. I'm not sure. I know for sure we need marriage and family counseling, and she needs individual therapy, but she refuses to go on all accounts. I feel worn down from constantly walking on eggshells with what I say and how I act. I've gained at least 40 pounds in the last 2 years from stress and little motivation to do anything about it, and I feel hardly any joy in hobbies I used to have. Something needs to change, and I'm at my wit's end on how to make things better, if they can be. Thank you all for reading. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You can't fix it. You already have made your choice. Clear those decks, lose that 40 pounds, get fit. But for you, once you've done that, change it up, get a new haircut, some new clothes again, for you. Any items left from old hobbies or just things you don't use anymore, get rid of them and sell them. Start streamlining your life, put away money in a secret bank account just for you. Start saving spare money again for you. Once you have done whatever is necessary for your kids, then focus on you. Use the gray rock method if you must. If you are worried about gaslighting arguments, just don't engage. If you want to save things, she will notice the change in your attitude, confidence, etc. If not, you have done the preparation for the leap into your new life. Comment 2. Speak to a lawyer and gather your evidence together. I'm sure you will both be happier and better parents living apart. She cheated and attacked a child. Even if she is an angel the rest of the time, I think you should be considering a divorce. Marriage counseling is not recommended with an hurtful partner. Be careful. Once she knows you plan to leave, she will try to provoke you into being hurtful and then use it against you in the divorce. Now for the update. My post from a week ago was about how I was planning to divorce my wife. I decided to sit the kids down for a family dinner to discuss some changes. I wanted to keep the mood light and not have them feel any stress over what was going on with me and their mom. So this was a week after that post. My wife walked in late from a study group, barely acknowledging us as she grabbed a plate. I noticed she had a new perfume and had dressed up more than usual. It seemed weird given the issues we were having. During dinner, she kept checking her phone, and I asked if she was expecting an important call. She just dismissed me with a wave, saying it was just a group chat with her classmates. But I could see her smiling. I started getting suspicious. That weekend, I went to my sister's birthday party. My wife stayed home, saying she had schoolwork. I noticed my brother-in-law whispering to my sister when I walked in. She gave me a concerned look when I mentioned my wife's absence. I could tell they were talking about her. I casually asked my sister if she knew about any study group gatherings that weekend. She shrugged, saying she hadn't heard anything. I didn't want to alarm her, so I dropped it. On Monday morning, I found my wife's phone unattended on the kitchen counter. I saw a text from a guy named Mike that said, "Can't wait to see you tonight." I got really mad. I confronted her about the text later that day. She just laughed it off, claiming it was a classmate messing around. I decided to dig a little deeper. I checked our shared calendar and found an entry for a study session at a cafe I didn't recognize. So I drove there that evening and saw my wife sitting at a table with Mike, talking and laughing. I just felt a rush of frustration. She didn't even notice me, and I left without her seeing me. I was still in disbelief. The next day, I found an old diary of hers that I had saved from a few years ago. I noticed entries about her feelings for someone else. I took the diary and showed it to her, which led to a huge argument about trust and betrayal. She claimed it was just a phase and nothing serious, but I just didn't buy it. I reached out to a family lawyer to discuss my options for divorce. I also started documenting her behavior. I kept a detailed log of everything she said and did that seemed manipulative or dismissive. It was exhausting, but I felt like I needed to do it. I knew I had my flaws too, and that I wasn't perfect, but I was trying, and I just felt like I was getting nowhere with her. I planned a family outing for the kids. I knew it would keep things civil while I figured out my next steps. We went to the park that Saturday. I overheard her talking on the phone about the plan with someone, but I couldn't catch the name. I confronted her later, and she insisted it was just about a group project. I decided to get a separate bank account to secure my finances in case things escalated. I also contacted a financial advisor to help me prepare for the upcoming divorce. The following weekend, I went to a family BBQ at my parents' house. I was trying to keep things normal for the kids. My wife showed up late again, and I could tell she had been drinking beforehand. During dinner, she began to argue with my mom over something trivial, making the atmosphere uncomfortable. I intervened, which only led her to storm off. Everyone felt the tension. After the BBQ, I got a text from my wife saying she needed space and was going to stay with a friend for a few days. While she was gone, I took the opportunity to rearrange our bedroom and found more messages from Mike hidden on her old phone. I took screenshots of the messages as proof for my lawyer. I decided to plan a family meeting when she returned to set clear boundaries about our relationship. I also began drafting a separation agreement, outlining custody and financial arrangements. When my wife returned, she acted as if nothing had happened. But I was ready to confront her. I started the family meeting, saying that I couldn't continue like this and needed honesty moving forward. She tried to deflect, claiming I was the one causing all the problems. I then revealed the evidence I had gathered, including the texts and diary entries. Her reaction was explosive. She started shouting and accusing me of invading her privacy. I calmly stated that I had enough and was filing for divorce. That left her speechless. The kids overheard the commotion, and I assured them it was just adult stuff. I told my wife I would be moving forward with the separation plan and that I would be contacting my lawyer soon. Edit. I appreciate all the support. To clarify, I have always been the primary income earner. My wife took 2 years off to care for our kids and is now working part-time while finishing her degree. I was responsible for all household bills during her studies, and we never had issues with finances until recently. The affair happened about a year ago. My wife swears it was just a crush, but I've seen enough to know it's more. The kids are currently unaware of all this. Am I the idiot for telling my stepmom she can't come to my wedding if she doesn't behave? My parents divorced when I was 6. My father, who is 68 years old, started dating my stepmom, Ellen, when I was 7. She has 3 kids, 1 older than me and 2 younger. Initially, I remember we actually got along well, and I have always gotten along with her kids much better than with her, especially the younger son and daughter. However, when I was about 10, they moved in together. I had my own room with my dad. Then, 2 years later, they switched houses, and she made me move all my belongings that I had in my dad's back to my mom's because they downsized, so I didn't have a room. This started a pattern of Ellen kind of forcing me out under the radar or reminding her kids that I was separate. Anyway, they got married when I was 15, and at their wedding, her sister asked how they met. She told them the history, etc. But what I didn't know was that when my parents got married, she begged my dad not to go through with it. He did anyway, but she talked about how they stayed in touch for years. which she definitely meant as a joke about an affair. She said this with me in the room and knew I was there. She was kind of drunk and laughing. I was enraged. I silently left early and stayed no contact with my dad for about 3 weeks. My mom revealed that she actually heard rumors of this happening back then but didn't know for sure, but this was confirmation. My mom also reluctantly told me that on my 10th birthday, Ellen got really drunk and told my mom's friend that her eldest kid was actually my dad's. The timeline indicates while married to my mom. I was never told. Obviously, my mom's friend told her, and she was annoyed that Ellen tried to drop something like that at a 10-year-old's birthday party. She confronted my dad then, and he said he didn't know if it was true. I did end up confronting my dad about the affair part, but he denied it. For the rest of my childhood, I would only see them a few times a year, at Christmas, etc. So she finally forced me out, I guess. 15 years later, I have since met my amazing fiancée. I have a great career and she has the same. We're getting married next year. I now also have a great relationship with my father. We became much closer during college. We did have that argument back then, but I didn't try fighting it that much. And since then, I've never had any drama with him, and he has supported me through life. With Ellen, we've always been cordial and polite, but I have never since trusted her, and I keep as much privacy from her as I can. She is never rude to me per se, but she also has been weird with my fiancé. When I first introduced her to the two of them, she was very nice, but every time since then, she basically always avoids us. If we visit, she will suddenly have to run errands or not feel well and go upstairs to rest. But she always asks about her if she's not there, which seems fake. Meanwhile, she is best friends with her kids' partners. For years, I didn't want her at my wedding. I don't trust her at all with my fiancé's family or my friends. I feel like she will take the wedding as a chance to start some kind of gossip or drama, like she did at my birthday or her own wedding. I also feel like she doesn't deserve to be there. But my fiancé thinks it will make me seem like the bad guy in my dad's family and to her kids. It will also really upset my father, I presume. My best friend came up with the idea of sitting her down and threatening her that she can attend, but if she does any kind of shenanigans, I will tell her eldest who his father really is. I am certain he has no idea because he still is in touch with her ex and has his name, etc. And to make sure my dad is there so she can't spin the argument to him later. Is this crazy? I think she would just refuse to go in that case, but also my dad would likely be furious at me, or she might blackmail him not to go either. If I had a mediocre relationship with my dad, I'd be fine with doing that. But we do have a great relationship since then, so I feel stuck. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Be honest with your dad about Ellen's behavior over the years. Then tell him that you refuse to add your wedding to the list of events ruined because she refuses to behave in public. The day is about you and your fiancé. As such, Ellen isn't invited. Your dad won't come. He's always chosen her in the past, and there's no reason to believe he won't choose her again. But the day will be better without her there. Comment 2. Can you arrange to have some other people monitor her behavior other than your dad? If she attempts any drama or gossip, have someone on standby to shut it down, even if that means creating some distraction, like spilling a drink on her if all else fails. That keeps you from having to address anything with either her or your dad and doesn't cast you in a bad guy role at all. Now for the update. A few days after the last post, I decided to talk to Ellen about the wedding invitation. I knew I couldn't just ignore the situation and hope for the best, so I figured it was time for a serious talk. I called her to set up a meeting at my dad's house, where she usually hangs out. Told her it was something important regarding the wedding. She agreed, sounding a bit surprised, but not overly concerned. Classic Ellen. She never seems to think anything is that important unless it involves her directly. So on the day of the meeting, I arrived early to gather my thoughts. Can't go into a convo with Ellen without a game plan. Ellen showed up, wearing her usual casual outfit, looking somewhat tense. You could tell she was a bit on edge, but I think she also thought she could charm her way out of this. I started by saying I wanted her to feel included in the wedding planning. She seemed pleased at first, nodding along as I talked about the venue and dates. I mean, she probably thought she was going to have some control over everything, which was definitely not happening. Then came the real reason I wanted to talk to her. I mentioned my concerns about her past behavior at family events. Ellen's expression changed. She looked defensive and crossed her arms. I told her that if she wanted to come to the wedding, she needed to promise not to cause any drama. She laughed it off, saying she wouldn't do anything to ruin the day. Yeah, right. We both know how that goes. I pushed further, bringing up the affair joke from the wedding years ago. Ellen's smile faded, and she became noticeably uncomfortable. I could see her trying to think of a way to justify that. Then I dropped the big one, my best friend's suggestion about her son's paternity. Ellen's face went pale, and she looked like she was about to explode. She was quiet for a second, and I thought maybe I had finally gotten through to her. Instead of getting angry, she seemed to shift into damage control mode. She started backtracking like crazy, claimed that the joke at my parents' wedding was just a misunderstanding. Yeah, okay, Ellen. I pointed out the tension between her and my fiancé, which she brushed off like it was nothing. She then tried to pivot the conversation to me and my fiancé's wedding plans. Like, really? I reminded her that we were discussing her behavior, not the wedding. It was like she was trying to ignore the fact that she was the problem here. Ellen finally admitted that she had felt left out since my dad married her. She promised to change and be more supportive moving forward. I wasn't buying it, but like I said in the last post, I needed to keep the peace for the sake of my relationship with my dad. A week later, I got a call from my dad about a family dinner he was hosting. He mentioned he had invited Ellen and her kids, hoping to bring everyone together. I reluctantly agreed to come, wanting to maintain harmony in the family. At the dinner, Ellen acted pleasant, but was overly eager for attention. She kept asking about the wedding details, even when others were talking. It was like she wanted to be the star of the show. During dessert, Ellen suddenly brought up her son's accomplishments. I mean, good for him, but this was not the time or place. My dad tried to steer the conversation back to the wedding plans, but Ellen interrupted, insisting on discussing her son's future instead. I finally called her out for monopolizing the conversation and being inconsiderate. Ellen looked shocked, and the room fell silent, everyone staring at us. My dad tried to defuse the situation, but I felt resolved to stand my ground. I told Ellen that if she couldn't be supportive, she wouldn't be welcome at the wedding. Ellen looked furious but held her tongue, clearly caught off guard. Nobody was more surprised than me that she didn't blow up. Later that night, I got a text from my dad asking to talk. He expressed concern over how things had escalated with Ellen. I mean, he's her husband, so I get it, but come on. This has been years in the making. He agreed to speak to Ellen about her behavior before the wedding. A few days later, my dad called to say he had a good talk with her. He mentioned Ellen seemed willing to improve her attitude for the wedding. Of course, I'm not holding my breath. I've been down this road before. I'm just hoping she can keep it together for one day, one stinking day. But with Ellen, you never know what you're gonna get. It's like a box of chocolates, except all the chocolates are filled with crap. Edit. After sharing my story, many asked about the relevance of the paternity issue. Ellen's eldest son is not biologically related to her husband, my dad. Many speculate about the affair being with her ex, but she never confirmed it. We all assume the ex was the father since the timeline fits, but no one knows for sure. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.